Good Thursday morning, foggers. As you can tell, we have a special guest here, Rocco, right? Rocco's a mini golden doodle that we got after I had to put my last work dog down from the department. So he's a little rambunctious and restless. But today we're going to talk about anxiety, right? And anxiety affects many of us, right? Let me put him down here. Go ahead, Mike. So anxiety affects many of us. It doesn't matter race, sex, gender. For some reason, we're seeing anxiety getting out of control. And I remember years ago, I had an officer that worked with me, and we're always constantly under pressure from command staff on citations, right? Statistics for the month. And I hate that shit because the primary reason for traffic enforcement should be, and always has been, to educate the public. And that's bullshit because all it is, it's a moneymaker for the department, for the county. If they really wanted to educate the public, you know, every time you would get a traffic citation for anything other than speeding, they should send you to some remedial type of training, right? Where you can learn how to learn, you know, the mistakes that you made and the infractions that you made, but they're not. It's a money-making machine, and it puts a lot of our officers' lives in jeopardy, and just call it what it is. It makes money, okay? But let's stick to the topic. The topic of anxiety, I remember this officer would tell me, as it would trickle down from the captain, the lieutenant, and down to me, hey, look, this officer's not writing enough citations. And I remember I pulled that officer aside and I said, listen, you know, they're chomping down on citations. They don't like your monthly statistics. And that officer, and this was over 10 years ago, probably 12, 13 years ago, that officer told me, you know, look, I don't like walking up to cars because I see myself getting murdered. And for a second I said, well, I go, listen, you know, there's times that are nerve-wracking when you're walking up to cars sometimes. And again, this is always the discretion of the officer, but you can have guys get out of the car, right? Subjects get out of the car, you know, cars with dark tinted windows. And she goes, no, it's not that I'm scared, is I actually see myself getting murdered as I walk up to the car. And that, I've never forgotten that. And, you know, I don't know if I know she had sought out help for that. And I said, listen, by all means, you know, we're going to have to deal with that. And she was dealing with it. She was seeing somebody about that. But that stuck with me because we have to deal with our own shit, right? And however it is that she got to that condition where she was seeing herself get murdered, whatever was going on in her mind or the reason, you know, that's something. Imagine, put yourself in those shoes that you're walking up to a car, and not that you're getting nervous, because listen, fear is common. And yeah, you know, if you're one of those guys that says, oh, I've never been scared, then, you know, that's not right. That's not being honest. Fear is one of those feelings that allows you to be a little bit more careful, right? Fear and being paralyzed is not good, but fear and being cautious is absolutely good because it keeps you on your toes, right? So yeah, there's been many times that I've walked up to cars, I didn't feel right. There were times where I didn't even walk up to the car and I had people exit the car. There were times where I didn't do anything and waited for backup to arrive. So all those things are common. But imagine you actually seeing yourself getting murdered. Actually see it, right? That's petrifying. That just, I can't even think of that. And that's horrible. And it's nothing against those people. That's just a condition that for whatever reason comes up. And I remember years ago, even before I started, when I was a lot younger, I used to scuba dive, and I could go into sunken wrecks, ships, and go through little cracks and crevices and under coral rocks. And I never had an issue with claustrophobia. And as I went through my career, I remember going to New York and getting in an elevator to go up to Rockefeller Center, and I didn't like the feeling. That was the first time that I was like, oh my God, I don't like being in an elevator with crowded people. And I never had an issue with that. So what I'm getting at is through trauma and just things that our brains suffer injuries from, and we are just scratching the surface on all these things. I remember feeling claustrophobic, and then from there, trying getting into an MRI machine through all my surgeries or a CAT scan. Forget about that. I remember the guy telling me when I was getting my shoulder replacement, oh, click the button if you get nervous. I was clicking the shit out of that before I even got into that tube. And I was never like that. And I wonder, I don't know, is it just getting old? But other people have told me the same thing. So I kind of think that it has something to do with trauma, you know? And again, if any of you are relating with any of this, write back to me just so I can confirm that. But so anxiety, the old me would have told you, you know what, get off your ass, go run. I remember having a professor in college that told me, you know, if you're stressed out, go run 10 miles. If at the end of the 10 miles you're still stressed out, you probably got a problem, right? But that's not the issue. There are operators in SWAT. I've talked to past operators who are retired, and they all have the same stuff. Not all of them, but I'm saying people that were in those positions where you go, they're in shape, they're physically active. I mean, they run, they work out. So I don't know what it is. I really don't. And I'm not, I've never said I'm a counselor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not professionally trained. But anxiety is a huge issue in our profession. And if you're suffering from that, you know, instead of loading up on pills or alcohol, you need to seek some advice from a professional, right? And from that point, follow your gut and how your body feels, right? Don't get loaded up. And again, this is just advice. Don't get loaded up with pills as a therapist. I had therapists try to load me up with pills, and I didn't take it. In my case, I didn't take it because it was taboo from where, you know, my mother used to take pills to try to kill herself or whatever. And so that was very taboo to me, so I didn't want to do that. I ended up taking pills later, but as far as medication, you got to really listen to your body and follow your gut instinct, right? So anxiety is a huge problem. Men and women, race, sexual orientation, everybody is able to suffer from anxiety. And it's a very, very common problem. Everybody I talk to at some point either is going through it, has gone through it, or their loved ones are going through it. And I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. You know, if it was only kids, I would tell you, oh, it's the TikTok and the phone. But that is not the case. There are people who have not changed their lifestyle, that go to work, 9 to 5 people, professionals that are not first responders, and they suffer from anxiety. I don't know what it is, but you've got to listen to your body. And if you're suffering from anxiety, I am here to tell you, seek out some help, because that is very dangerous. That leads to a lot of other stuff, and we don't want to get into that hole, right? So the reason why I had that dog, my dog Rocco, at the beginning was, you know, as a canine and ex-canine handler, I always had dogs. But, you know, the type of dogs that I had, although, you know, we had great relationships, you know, they're larger, they shed, and it wasn't like Rocco, who's hypoallergenic. He doesn't shed at all. You know, these golden doodles, they're very kind. They're very clingy. They don't have the ability, although all dogs can bite, especially out of fear, they don't have the genetic makeup and the nerves to be vicious at all or attack. And so, you know, it's kind of allows first responders to be protective of that animal. It's unconditional love. And it is peaceful. I have found a lot of peace through this dog, even though I didn't really get it to be some type of a therapy dog. But he is and has turned out to be extremely therapeutic to myself and my family. You know, my son is like, oh, Rocco's my little brother, and they have a really cool relationship. When he gets home, I'm like, hey, go get your big brother, and Rocco takes off, and extremely intelligent. And I always make the jokes because he's a golden doodle. I'm like, you know, he wants to go duck hunting and he wants to have his nails painted, and he's kind of confused, but he's extremely intelligent. He's easy to train, and he's brought a lot of comfort to us. So again, if that is something that you have thought of or whatever, it is very comforting. If you get the right breed for you and you need some advice on that, I can help you. But, you know, animals are very comforting to us. There's a lot of post-traumatic retreats throughout the country, and they have horses. I've had horses before. I had to sell them because, you know, it's a lot of time and a lot of money. But, you know, animals are a way for us to lower our vitals, our blood pressure, and it's very peaceful. They're non-judgmental. They're not going to give you any shit. They'll accept you even if you're having a bad day, and they're very peaceful, very therapeutic. So I wanted to discuss today anxiety. You're not alone, okay? I want everybody to know out there that although the stigma of mental health is, I'm a weirdo, there's something going on, I'm different than anybody, you're not. You're not. A lot of us are going through the same thing you are, some more than others. Some have other problems that you don't. So reach out, and you're not the only one. Trust me. There's anxiety, there's flashbacks, we're not sleeping, we're over caffeinated, we're not hydrating. There's a lot of things going on, and you're not alone. You're not alone at all. You're not a weirdo. So please, if you find yourself in this position, reach out. Right? We all understand each other, and it's a non-judgmental place. 3 a.m. Fog was created for that, a safe space for us to navigate and find out why we're doing and feeling the way we are. Okay? So I'll say goodbye for Rocco because he took off and he's back at the couch, his favorite place. So thank you for your service, right? My motormen that are out there doing all that traffic enforcement, I saw you the other day and you guys are drenched because it's hot as hell. Be careful on those bikes. I always hated that because our guys go down a lot. So our motormen, hydrate, okay? Be safe. Do things for yourself, okay? Don't be the servant for the county. Be a servant for the people and defend the weak and enforce the laws, okay? So thank you for everything you do, for your service, your sacrifice, all the shit that we don't forget. And thank you to the families that support us and that are our backbone. I'm grateful to my teachers and my nurses and doctors that are out there that follow. Thank you. We're grateful for your service, and everybody here matters, okay? God bless you, and if he allows me to be here tomorrow, I will. All right? Thank you so much. 3M Fog.